Hey everybody, my name's Andy. Today we're going to do a honey garlic chicken with roasted potatoes and carrots. So to begin, first thing we need to do is we actually need to preheat our oven to about 450 degrees. And this is to roast our carrots and our potatoes. So once that's preheating, we need to bring a large stock pot full of water, about 3/4 full, to a boil. So basically, fill it up with water about 3/4 of the way, throw a lid on it, throw about a tablespoon of salt in there, and then turn it on high and let that come to a boil. So while that's coming to a boil and our oven's preheating, we're going to step over here and we're going to prep our chicken. So to begin, we're going to do the marinade for our chicken. We're going to start with a bowl, and in this marinade, what we're going to do, we're actually going to add 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, we're also going to do 1 tablespoon of honey, I should get more honey. Next, we're going to set this to the side because we're going to prep our chicken next. So with our chicken, we're just using regular chicken breast. And the total recipe, this serves about 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab 1 large chicken breast. It's going to be about, before we clean it, which basically removing all this cartilage, removing all the tendons. Before we clean it, it's going to be about probably 14 to 15 ounces. After we clean it, it's going to be around 5 to 12 ounces. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to remove all of that cartilage. Remove the cartilage just because it's chewy, it doesn't taste good, and to actually make it tender, you really have to stew the meat for a long period of time. And since it's going to be a really quick cooking process, what we're going to do is just remove all of this excess and be left with a nice clean piece of meat. So once that's done, we have the chicken breast here. What we're going to do, we're actually going to halve it, but we're going to have it kind of in a butterfly. So what this means is we're actually going to cut down the middle of it. So now we have 2 equal pieces, and we do this because it makes the chicken breast much thinner, cooks a lot quicker, and it's just more efficient for us to use. So next we're going to take that, set them here, and I have a mixture of salt and pepper here. It's basically just 50% salt, 50% pepper. And basically what I'm doing, I'm taking this mixture and putting about 1/4 teaspoon on both breasts. So I'm gonna do this, season the breast very liberally like this. And once that's done, we're actually gonna transfer these into our marinade from earlier, because what we're going to do is actually prep the rest of our ingredients. So once that's in there, about 5 minutes, we're actually going to flip these over, marinate the other side. So the next thing we're going to do, we're actually going to move on to our carrots. So we have these nice rainbow carrots here. See, we have orange, we have a kind of like an opaque yellow color, and then we also have a purple carrot in here. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to leave these stems on because it's going to come in handy in the cooking process. What we're going to do is see how it has this kind of zip tie or twisty tie around the top of it. We're just going to leave that there. So what we're going to do is pull the rubber band off the bottom of them, and then we're going to take these, rinse them under cold water, get a lot of the dirt off of them. Remember, carrots are a root vegetable, so they grow on the ground. So if you can imagine it, this is a carrot. Think of my hand as the surface of the ground. The carrots are underground, and these stalks are up above ground. So to actually get to, when you get a carrot, you actually pull it off the stalk, it comes out of the ground. So we're actually going to rinse these, and then we're going to move on to the next step, which is peeling them. Okay, so with our carrots rinsed, what we're going to do is we still have them tied together up here. So we're just going to move that tie down a little bit, And then we have all of our carrot boats. We're actually just going to do a quick peel of them just to remove the outside skin. It's a little tough and it has some bruises on it from being underground. So it's just going to be a quick, just removing some of that excess skin off the outside of it. And my favorite peeler is one that looks like this. So you'll have some that are kind of like, it has a handle and then one side is kind of beveled and you go like this down anything that you're peeling. The only problem with that is it gets difficult, and if you're doing a lot, it starts to kind of hurt your hand. However, what's cool about it is you can actually, as you can see, my hand's backwards facing you. And what I'm doing, I'm simply just moving the back end down the carrot, and it peels very, very easily. And when you're peeling something, you don't have to press hard. You just want to get that top layer off. So once they're all peeled, lift them out of our pile of carrot shavings. And you're probably going to notice that the bottom of them have kind of a little, it's almost like the root of the carrot. And we're actually just going to do a quick chop. Peel that off. So now we have a nice, clean carrot to work with. And remember our boiling water from earlier? This is why I said to leave the stalk on them. If you don't use carrots without the stalk, it's not the end of the world. I just left the stalk on because what we can do is we can literally dip this in the boiling water, throw the lid over it, let it chill for about 5 to 8 minutes, and then pull it out and rinse them, and they're ready to go. However, if you buy carrots without the stalk on them, you can just throw them in the boiling water, then strain them later on. So I'm going to throw these in our boiling water. Like I said, I'm going to throw that lid on, and we're going to set a timer for about 6 minutes to start, and then we're going to clean up, and then we're going to move on to our potatoes. Moving on to our next step, which is going to be our potatoes. These are quick, easy, and kind of seamless. So what we're going to do is, I have about a pound of potatoes here, and for the recipe we're only using about 8 ounces. So what I'm going to do is pull about half of these out. And similarly to the carrots, I used a kind of a rainbow array of potatoes. So you have a small white potato, you have a small kind of red potato, and then you have a small purple potato. What I like about the purple potatoes is they're actually purple when you cut into them. You'll see when we cut into them, they're going to bleed on the cutting board. So what we do next is, just like the carrots, we're going to rinse these because potatoes are a root vegetable. So we're going to rinse these, get all the dirt off of them. So once we have washed our potatoes, we're actually just going to, it's a quick and simple cutting method. We're just going to take it, cut it right down the middle, just cut it in half. That's all we're doing. Just want to make sure they're all generally the same size, just so they cook evenly. So we're going to grab our colander, and this is just so I can transfer it to the boiling water. So it's been about 6 minutes. Our carrots are done. We're going to grab them out of the boiling water, bring them back over here. Then we're going to throw our potatoes in the boiling water and blanch those, and then we'll move on to the next step. And this was the beneficial part of leaving the stalk on the carrots. I actually lost one in there, so what I'm going to do, I'll grab some tongs, pull it out, and then just transfer it over here. So next, just grab our potatoes, and these are going to go in the boiling water for about 4 to 5 minutes. Throw the lid back on them, set your timer. Start. And we're actually going to take this colander and put it in our sink because we're going to drain the potatoes into this colander so we can get all the water out of them. And then we have our finished potato. So with our carrots done, we have a nice soft carrot. Not mushy, but soft, it's tender. So as you can see, some of the stalks have already fallen off, and since it's cooked, they come off pretty easily. You can leave them on for presentation purposes, but it's really not needed. It kind of just gets in the way, especially if it's a super long stalk like this. So just pull them off, Then we have them on our cutting board and our sheet pan. We're going to throw away the stalks, and we're going to just basically set them here. And something super simple, some olive oil, about a tablespoon over top of all of them, and I'm just gently mixing them together. This is just so it gets a nice sear on the outside. And then we're grabbing our salt and pepper mixture, and we're putting about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and pepper on those carrots, mixing it together. And then once our potatoes are done, we're actually going to throw the potatoes on this pan, and we're going to throw it in the oven to roast it. So now that our potatoes are done, we're going to grab them, strain them, and then bring them back over here to our sheet pan, which then we're going to roast them. Bring them over here. So our potatoes, sorry, not our carrots, but they're soft, they're kind of warm, they're tender. But what we're going to do next is we're actually going to toss them in this bowl. So pull them in the bowl, put about 1/2 tablespoon of olive oil, about a 1/4 teaspoon of our salt pepper blend, gently toss them just to coat them. Transfer them to the sheet pan. Next, these are going to go in the oven for probably about 8 to 10 minutes. We'll start with 8, and if they need any more, we'll add more. Next, we're going to move on to our chicken. So if you remember from our first step, we were marinating this chicken in a honey soy sauce blend. So as you can see, nicely coated in honey and soy sauce. So we're actually going to sear this chicken in a pan and finish it in the oven if needed. So what we're going to do is we have our saute pan. It's over kind of a medium heat right now. And with that saute pan, we're actually going to add about 1/2 tablespoon of olive oil into the pan. Let that come up to temperature for about 30 to 60 seconds, just so it's hot when we add in the chicken breast. And once it's hot, and as you can see it's smoking a little bit, what we're going to do is grab our chicken breast, and lay them in the pan. So we're going to cook them for about 2 to 3 minutes per side. Then if they need to be cooked any longer, we're actually going to throw it in the oven with our potatoes and carrots and finish it off there. So as you can see, we had a nice sear on that chicken, and the sear comes from the sugar and the honey kind of caramelizes under heat, and the soy sauce just always normally gives a very good sear. So what we're going to do is actually take this and throw it in the oven to finish it, because we don't want that bottom side to burn. So it's actually just about time to pull the carrots and the potatoes out. So we're going to throw this in, pull the carrots and potatoes out, and then we'll move on. As you can see, nice roasted sear on all of them. The potatoes have a nice color, the carrots have a nice color. So we're going to let these cool, and then when our chicken's done, we'll be able to plate and finish. Chicken's coming out of the pan, as you can see, nice sear. So now we're going to plate. To plate this, what we're going to do is we're actually going to grab some of these carrots, kind of place them on the bottom of the plate, and grab some of our potatoes, place them kind of to the side of those carrots. What we're going to do, just because it's easier to eat, we're actually going to take this chicken and we're going to slice it. So once that's cut, we're actually going to take the chicken breast, transfer it without trying to spill it everywhere. Sometimes it's just easier to use your hands. So you just have a nice, simple plate. You just have the chicken on top, carrots on the bottom, and potatoes in here. So now that we're finished, let's give it a taste. So going to this chicken first. Chicken, I don't want to call it bland, I don't want to call it basic, but it's just a good, wholesome flavor. This dish is just, it has carrots, it has potatoes, it's just a good, wholesome flavor. The carrots, come to that individually. Slight sweetness to it. The roasting it, give it a nice caramelization, so it is a slight sweetness. Olive oil really brings out the flavor of that carrot. And to go into the potatoes, once again, just a nice wholesome flavor. So this dish, kind of basic by most people's standards, but it's really good flavors. It has that great savory umami, that taste. And if you're on prep, this is kind of just a great recipe, just because it meets all your macros. It's lower fat, lower carb, and higher protein. So if you're on prep and need something just wholesome, something salty, this dish right here would be great for you. Thank you guys for tuning in. My name is Andy Barninger. You can find me at The Performance Chef. Stay tuned for further content from Myotrend.